Hello, science fans! Today we're going to talk about something incredible. It's a superpower that everyone has, but not everyone knows how to use it to its full potential. I'm talking about learning. Learning isn't just about memorizing facts for a test. It's about truly understanding the world around you, from the tiniest atoms to the vastness of space. When you learn how to learn effectively, you can tackle any subject, solve bigger problems, and become more creative. It's a skill that builds on itself, making you smarter and more capable with every new thing you master. Think about it. Everything we have in our modern world exists because someone learned something new and shared it. So, how do we unlock this superpower? Well, I've got two amazing tools for you. They are like a dynamic duo for your brain. The first is called the Feynman Technique, named after the brilliant physicist Richard Feynman. He was a master at making complicated things seem simple. His method is all about explaining a concept in your own words, as if you were teaching it to someone else. The second tool is called Syntopic review. That sounds fancy, but it just means learning about one topic from many different sources. You don't just read one book, you read a few, watch a video, and maybe listen to a podcast. These two methods are fantastic on their own. The Feynman Technique forces you to confront what you don't understand, because you can't explain something clearly if you don't get it yourself. It's a personal test of your knowledge. Syntopic review, on the other hand, gives you a three-dimensional view of a topic. You get to see it from different angles, notice what different experts agree on, and identify where they have different opinions. This helps you build a much richer, more nuanced understanding than you would from a single textbook. It's like seeing a sculpture from all sides instead of just looking at a flat picture. But when you put them together, wow, that's when the real magic happens. Combining these techniques creates a powerful learning loop. You gather diverse knowledge with syntopic review, and then you process and simplify that knowledge with the Feynman Technique. It's a one-two punch that not only helps you learn things faster, but also helps you remember them for a long, long time. You're not just passively absorbing information, you are actively building a strong, clear mental model of the world. This combination turns learning from a chore into an exciting adventure of discovery. Consider this. Let's dive into the first part of our dynamic duo, the Feynman Technique. Richard Feynman was not just a Nobel Prize-winning physicist, he was also known as the Great Explainer. He believed that if you couldn't explain something in simple terms, you didn't really understand it. That's the core idea behind his method. It's a simple four-step process that anyone can use to learn anything. First, you choose the concept you want to learn. Grab a blank piece of paper and write the name of the topic at the top. It could be anything. Photosynthesis, the stock market, or how a microwave works. The second step is the most important one. Try to explain the concept in your own words. Write it all down as if you were teaching it to a middle school student. Use simple language, avoid jargon, and create analogies to make the ideas easier to grasp. For example, if you're learning about electricity, you might compare it to water flowing through a pipe. This act of teaching forces your brain to actively work with the information. You can't just repeat definitions you memorized. You have to truly process the ideas and connect them in a way that makes sense. It's an active, creative process. Now for step 3, review and identify your knowledge gaps. As you write out your explanation, you will inevitably get stuck. You'll find parts that are fuzzy, or where you have to use a complicated term because you don't know how to simplify it. These are your weak spots. Circle them, highlight them, do whatever you need to do to mark them. This is fantastic because you have just pinpointed exactly what you need to study more. You're not guessing anymore. You have a clear map of where your understanding breaks down. This focused approach saves you a ton of time and effort. The final step is to go back to your source material, your books, notes, or videos, and fill in those gaps. Study the parts you got stuck on until you can explain them simply. Then, go back to your piece of paper and refine your explanation. Read it out loud. Does it sound simple and clear? Is it easy to follow? Keep repeating this process of simplifying and refining until your explanation is crystal clear and uses no jargon. When you can do that, you have truly mastered the concept. You haven't just memorized it. You own it. You understand it. Science. Now let's talk about the other hero in our learning story, syntopic review. This might sound like a term from a college library, but the idea is really straightforward and incredibly powerful. Syntopic review is the art of reading and understanding a subject by consulting multiple sources. Instead of relying on a single textbook or one website, you become a detective, gathering clues from a variety of places. You might read 2 different books on the same topic, watch a documentary, listen to a couple of expert interviews on a podcast, and read a few scientific articles. Your goal isn't just to understand each source on its own, but to see how they all fit together. The first step in a syntopic review is to gather your materials. Let's say you want to learn about metabolism. You wouldn't just grab one biology textbook. You might also find a book aimed at athletes, an article about metabolic disorders, and a video that explains the Krebs cycle with animations. The key is diversity. You want sources that come from different perspectives and are written for different audiences. This variety ensures you don't get stuck in a single viewpoint. It opens your mind to the complexity and richness of the topic, preventing you from developing a narrow or biased understanding from the very beginning. Once you have your sources, your next job is to find the main ideas and the key terms. As you go through each source, you're not just reading passively. You're on a mission to establish a common language. You'll notice that different authors might use slightly different words to describe the same thing. Your task is to translate their language into a neutral set of terms that you define for yourself. You're also looking for the big questions that all the authors are trying to answer. This helps you create a mental framework or a map of the subject's most important territories. The real power of syntopic review comes in the final step, synthesizing the information. This is where you compare and contrast what the different sources say. Where do all the experts agree? This is likely the core established knowledge on the topic. Where do they disagree or have different theories? These are the exciting frontiers of the subject, the areas where knowledge is still being debated and developed. By mapping out these areas of agreement and disagreement, you build a sophisticated, multi-layered understanding. You're not just a student anymore. You're becoming a critical thinker who can analyze and evaluate information from multiple angles. So, we have the Feynman Technique, which helps us simplify and test our understanding. And we have syntopic review, which helps us build a rich multidimensional view of a topic. Now, let's put them together and see the fireworks. This combination creates a robust learning system that builds deep, lasting knowledge. You start with the broad exploration of syntopic review, and then zoom in with the focused simplification of the Feynman Technique. It's a cycle of expanding your knowledge and then consolidating it, which is how our brains learn best. Let's walk through it with our example metabolism. First, you'd use syntopic review to gather your sources on metabolism, a textbook chapter, a health blog, and a science documentary. You'd skim them to identify the key concepts. Catabolism, which is breaking things down, anabolism, which is building things up, ATP, the energy currency, and the role of enzymes. You'd create a mind map connecting these ideas. You'd notice the textbook focuses on chemical pathways, while the blog talks about diet and exercise. The documentary might use amazing animations to show how cells use energy. You are building a big picture view, seeing all the different puzzle pieces from the box before you try to put them together. Next, you bring in the Feynman Technique. You take one of those key concepts, like ATP, and try to explain it on a blank sheet of paper. You might write, ATP is like a tiny, rechargeable battery for our cells. Then you would try to explain how it gets charged through breaking down food and how it's used to power muscle movement or build new proteins. As you do this, you'll probably realize your understanding of the recharging process is a bit vague. That's your knowledge gap. You then go back to your sources, specifically the textbook part about cellular respiration, to clarify that exact point. After you've sharpened your understanding, you refine your simple explanation. You repeat this process for all the key concepts on your mind map. You explain catabolism, anabolism, and enzymes, each time simplifying and identifying gaps. Finally, you try to explain the entire topic of metabolism as a whole, linking all your simple explanations together into one coherent story. This process transforms you from a passive reader into an active creator of knowledge. The benefits are huge. Your memory of the topic will be incredibly strong, your critical thinking skills will improve, and you'll be able to communicate complex ideas with clarity and confidence. So what are you waiting for? This week, pick a topic that fascinates you. It could be black holes, how artificial intelligence works, or the history of pizza. Gather a few different sources, create your map of ideas, and then explain it simply. This method of learning doesn't just fill your head with facts, it changes how you think. It empowers you to tackle any subject with curiosity and confidence. By learning how to learn, you are truly becoming smarter, more capable, and ready to understand and maybe even change the world. Go get 'em.